Today is my secret place day, but I can't stop thinking about what I'm going to say on this silly video, so I figure I better make it, and then I can get on with my secret placing. I just want to start by answering a couple questions that I know are burning in your mind. First of all, I am feeling better, although I have been in bed most of the morning, as you can probably tell from my hair, but I am starting to feel better, and I'm relieved about that because this weekend is very important. This weekend coming up, 3 of my very good friends are whisking me away somewhere, and they won't tell me where. All they've said is that I'll need my passport. So it's obvious that they're taking me on a Gaither Hawaiian cruise. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the other burning question I know that you're asking is, does she wear that sweater every day? The short answer is yes. The last burning question I know is on your mind is, how gorgeous was Mr. Blair? Well, I don't know if I can communicate to you the gorgeousness of this man. Basically, he was proof of the existence of God. And, you know, obviously Richard Dawkins never met Mr. Blair. He was very, very good looking. Let's just put it that way. At least in my 14-year-old eyes, he was the supermodel of science teachers. And he really was kind of the linchpin. Is that the right term? I don't know. You know, sometimes you use these expressions and you don't know exactly if you're using them correctly. You've just heard them all your life. The linchpin. What is a linchpin? What I mean is that he was kind of a turning point in my story, because until junior high, until Mr. Blair, I didn't feel like I knew who I was exactly, although I never would have articulated it like that to myself. I just sort of felt like, yeah, I was kind of bland. I was kind of ordinary. But suddenly, I saw Mr. Blair, and I knew that I was born to do one thing, and one thing only, and that was to love Mr. Blair. And so I did that. I couldn't really help myself, to be honest. I had to love him. It was what I was created to do. And so I began simply by writing him love notes and talking my friends into giving them to him. I think maybe the first few love notes I wrote, I didn't sign my name, but then I was like, come on, this is meant to be. So I began to sign my name to the love notes. And of course, with most addictions, this escalated to the point where it wasn't good enough anymore to have my friends give Mr. Blair love notes. So one day I decided I'm going to do this. So I just walked up to Mr. Blair in the hallway and I just gave him the note and I said, "This is for you, Mr. Blair." And he said, "Well, thank you." And I turned and walked away. And after that, there was no stopping me. I continued to give him love notes. I remember specifically one day when I felt especially creative. I snuck into his classroom kind of on a break, and on the blackboard I drew a life-size mural of Mr. Blair and I kissing, and then I wrote a caption and our names and hearts and everything. It was quite impressive, I have to say. Took me a little while, but and then I left, and I wasn't there to see it, but I know that, you know, his next class was profoundly entertaining. It was no secret that I loved Mr. Blair, obviously. The whole school knew about it, and I was known as the girl who was in love with Mr. Blair. I would go to the office pretty well every day and leave a letter for Mr. Blair in his staff mailbox. The receptionist came to expect me, and she would say hi to me every time I came, and I'd put the letter in Mr. Blair's staff mailbox. And I like to write. I come at that honestly because my my dad and his mom and his grandmother were all writers, and so I wrote in my diary a lot. As a teenager, I wrote these long love letters to Mr. Blair. Oh, guess what I found the other day? I found my old diaries from when I was a teenager, and I found one that where I talk about Mr. Blair. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, this is amazing. I read this yesterday, the whole thing, and I just about died laughing, and I don't know if I can find it now. Maybe I'll look through here and find it. I was just going to read you an excerpt because it's so classic, and I'll close this video for now and post another one. Talking about Mr. Blair may take several videos. I'm not sure, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And, you know, I'm very deliberately not saying Mr. Blair's first names. I knew his first and middle name, but he may be watching this for all I know, or at some point he may. So if he is Mr. Blair, I just want to say I'm sorry.